Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in the world. Welcome to Living World of Darkness. This is the Werewolf venue, and today we find ourselves in the Umbra of the Sept of the Green, where Cause the Fury is heard about another lupus member of the Sept, a female one, and she's decided to try and track her down and introduce herself. She's heard that this particular member of Sept often hangs out in the meadow in the Umbra, so she can hang out in her lupus form, and so she will have made her way into the Umbra and is making her way towards the meadow to seek out. And she will approach the meadow quite confidently, and be looking around to see if she can spot any other wolves. Yeah. I don't know if Kai would be just hanging out there or whether she'd be sneaky.
For the most part, Kailani really just hangs out in the meadow. It's a place that tends to be frequented by both the stargazers and the children of Gaia.
Okie doke. Then, yeah. Girls will just.
Go ahead.
She will just look around and see if she can spot any likely candidates, and if she spots Kalyani, she will make her way over to where she sees her.
In the Umbra around the meadow, you would see a number of wind spirits and a few starlight spirits gathered around. They don't really seem to be interacting with the wolf that's watching them. She seems to be staring at them in quiet contemplation, as if trying to figure out what they're saying.
Okay. So, yeah. Calls will be glancing at these rather beautiful spirits dancing around in the meadow, and the wolf, and slowly approach the wolf that is watching them quietly. She's not trying to sneak up behind her or anything. She's not moving particularly quietly. When she's a reasonable distance, she will pause, and I do not wish to disturb you. May I approach?
Kalani's head will turn around, and her ears will perk up excitedly, seeing another wolf. Yes, you may approach.
As she has permission, Calls will make her way forward. Her ears are nice and pricked, nice and forward, and she's looking generally quite open and quite neutral and friendly as she moves forward to meet this new person. New wolf. I am Untimed Cry Calls the Fury. I am relatively newly arrived in the Sept. I am a Cleath Galliard of the tribe Black Fury, born on 4 legs.
I am Kailani, bites the worm's spine. I am not so newly arrived. A Cleath Galliard of the Stargazers, born on 4 legs.
At
And
your sorry, go ahead.
Kailani will stand and sort of sniff, calls the Fury.
After such a greeting, if it looks like she is welcomed, Cores will move forward and also try and catch Kailani's scent and give her a bit of a sniff, and sort of look her over, but let herself also be looked over. So at the same time.
I am glad we have another 4 legs in the sept. Well met, sister.
Well met. There are not so many of us on Gaia's Earth anymore. It is always good to meet others.
Indeed it is.
Have you say you have been here for a time?
Yes, since summer.
What do you, may I ask how you fare in this place? What you think of it? How you find it?
Honestly, I find the sept to be very strange. Many of the Garu are lacking balance. They listen to one mind over the other without contemplating a way to unite them both. I'm guilty of this myself from time to time, but that's very strange to me. Aside from that, this is a sept with great strife and loss. Many people have lost their lives in the time that I've been here, including those in my pack.
The loss of pack mates is always felt most keenly. I find it hard myself right now to be without one. But perhaps I have heard of the strife in this place and its struggles, and I have heard of its importance of this little bastion, this little niche of the wild, so pure in amongst the horrors and the tangles and the snarls and the depths of the weaver's web, so close and so surrounding it. It is for this reason that I have chosen to come here, chosen to try and offer my services and my skills and my strengths for Gaia to preserve this place. But perhaps the strength of the weaver that surrounds us, it's perhaps not so surprising that maybe some struggle for balance here.
Yes, there is very little balance in the city. Of course, everything's still being dominated by the Weaver.
All the more reason and all the more important that we must fight and preserve, and do what we can to save the bits of wild and push back and hold what we can of the wild for Gaia.
I believe she watches this sept. That she watches our struggle against the Weaver. And and that it is only because her eyes are on us that we have not fallen.
Her eyes and her gaze may try and help direct us, but she relies on our strength and our paws and our teeth and our claws and our minds and our physical bodies here to fight for her, for she cannot fight for herself in this physical place.
Gaia gives us the strength to carry on.
Indeed, and we must honor such strength and not waste it.
May I ask where you come from?
I come from a place closer to the setting sun than here, and closer to the cold than here. I believe the sisters who are my pack called it Wisconsin, but that is the homid name for it. It was no city like this.
I am not surprised. Was there a fence around your sect?
There was boundaries, and more came in the time before they said there were less, in the time that I lived there, in the passing of the moon, more and more humans came. They brought their black paths and divided up the hunting ground and tried to claim more and more of our territory for their own. And in the end, they wanted it all.
My kin said they built a fence around our sect to keep us safe, because we were mostly lupus.
And did it keep you safe?
It did. Those of us who stayed within it and did not try to stray beyond.
Was there enough hunting and enough prey within this fence, this boundary they had put on for you?
There was more than enough to sustain us, though not all of it came from hunting. We were in a giant cage, more or less.
So, in your own way, this fence, as you call it, was this just not the Weaver trying to bind you and set its limits on you?
I believe it was the kin, in a very misguided way, trying to keep us safe from the humans and the humans safe from us. The closer they moved to us, the more dangerous it became that one of us would go through the change and wander into their settlements and harm them.
So the kin were listening to the Weaver's songs and trying to add the bindings. They may not have meant it poorly, but the more they let the Weaver's webs and the Weaver's hooks sink into them, the more they slowly lost the wild, and the more they became the Weaver's tools.
The kin do not feel the web like we do. Not the homid ones inside.
And this is sad, but they should then be taught and explained and shown. For they, more than the other humans, should work with us and should fight with us and should push the others back. They're the ones more than anyone else who should understand and should protect the wild.
I cannot fault them entirely for what they did, because in putting up that fence, they did keep the wild safe as well. Much as the wild is kept safe here, though our boundaries are not fences, they are instead the black paths that the humans use to get around in their rubber monsters.
Yes. Perhaps for now, or for a time, and in the now, that might be enough. But what about the next now, when it becomes closer and closer? We should be using, and our kin should be helping us to push them back, to push the humans back, to keep them away, to teach the other humans. Not all of them are bad. Many of them, as you say, are misguided or have been taught wrong and heard the whispers of the weaver as she sings her song and ties herself tighter and tighter and tries to control more and more. Some things should not be controlled. Some things should be free. But I do not mean to upset you. I merely...
You have actually given me much to contemplate.
Then I am glad I could share my experience and stories, and they might help you as well. And I shall take yours, and I shall take your stories of your sect and your knowledge of this place, and I shall keep them, and I shall think on them as well.
Have you had much chance to experience things as a homid?
I have had some experience. I have not been as adverse as some of the other lupuses. The sisters, they took me in one of those metal boxes one time into town, into the near settlement. But my experiences are not so extensive, nor do they extend to anything like this city. I had heard stories, but nothing could comprehend the vastness and the horror of this place.
After my change, I went to live with Hamid Guru in my sect, so that I could learn to understand the human mind and not be frightened by it or its strange urges. And so that I could also learn to understand the ways of the Hamid, their strange glyphs, the
Homid glyphs.
yes,
Yes.
the picture boxes they watch.
Yes. I have seen these. I do not myself understand the Homid glyphs. Katori Raya has said that if I am to survive in this place, I should make efforts to learn at least basic Homid glyphs and symbols.
You will need to learn enough to spell a name and where you live so that you can get a piece of plastic with your picture on it. You cannot do anything in the city without that piece of plastic. I have a fake one, but it's not good if I need. It's not good if I ever need to use the money for anything.
Why would you need to use the money?
Money is what they trade with.
No, I understand they trade with it, but surely that is what the kin do, what the homids do.
Yes, we can send our homid kin to do things with the money, but we are making them spend their money for us. And if it's our job to care for them, then shouldn't we be giving them money to take care of our business for us? Or at least in exchange for it, since that's what they trade with?
They are, by extension, a part of not maybe our specific pack, but larger pack and home. We
Yes.
defend the home. We all have our purpose. Yours and my purpose as the keeper of stories is not the same as the Arun, is not the same as the Ragabash, nor is the kin. Everyone has their purpose. Why should I give them this money for what they should be doing? They would no more pay me to tell them a story or to defend them.
Suppose you relied very heavily on someone for something. And you know they are using a lot of their time and a lot of their things, precious things, valuable things, to help you accomplish what you need done. Wouldn't you, as a gesture of thanks, give them something they find just as precious? Or that would at least be just as useful.
I understand the importance of an exchange, and that if you wish to demand something of someone in the same way as you would of a spirit, you must offer them something in return. But what I have to offer them is not this monies. I have no way to acquire these monies. I have no these monies have value to them but not me. I cannot give them what I do not have. I will give them what I can. I can bring them prey if they need to eat. I can defend them if they need defending. I will do with them if they have a specific task for me to do, but I cannot give them or give value to something I do not have.
I understand that.
You clearly have more experience of the homids and this very homid place. Perhaps I must make more efforts to understand it.
You will have plenty of time to do that.
You
There.
clearly see when she's saying this, though. Her ears are sort of gone out to the side, and she's not looking entirely comfortable with this whole idea.
You will have plenty of time to do that. There are things that you will like. Well, if you can eat things other than meat, you will like ice cream. And if you ever get a chance to ride in a car or the big metal box again, the way the wind moves through your hair is good. And she stops and thinks for a minute. Oh, they have sleeping places that hold other sleeping places inside of them.
Sleep in the boxes, in the den boxes they build.
Yes.
I have been inside. There, I must admit I've never been comfortable sleeping inside the den boxes, but the blankets and the fabrics they have can be most cozy and most warming.
The the little spouts of water they have inside their house, that the den box is underneath them. There's usually a small den just big enough to curl up inside.
I am not familiar with these. I shall have to explore.
Oh, do explore. There are many small, cozy little dens you can find inside the big den boxes.
Would your I know you say you have lost pack members here, but you do you feel happy with your pack here? Is it strong? Do you have good pack mates?
We often misunderstand each other, but they are eager to explain to me the things that I don't understand. And they make me feel very welcome among them. They are strong, they are good, and mostly noble fighters.
I am seeking a pack for myself, as I'm sure you will understand, being alone is not comfortable. But I am intrigued here because where I come from, the sept I was in, there was not only one tribe, but the packs were of one tribe. Did not mix so readily. There was the sisters and there was the Wendigo, but that was mostly all. Some visitors, but there was mostly just the two. So how mixed and how many different tribes there are in one pack here is most interesting.
can be a little overwhelming.
I am merely also impressed that all seem to get on so well. The stories you hear of different tribes together are not always peaceful, as they should be, perhaps.
It's not that everything is always peaceful, it's that people are able to set that aside and focus on what's really important, at least in the heat of the moment.
As they should. And this is good. Maybe if more places and more Garu could put aside the differences that we perceive or that they perceive between us and fight for Gaia and fight for the wild places as they should, then we would have perhaps less problems.
I agree.
I am glad that I have met you and that in this place there is one who seems to share some more level of understanding than perhaps others here. As you say, there is not that the Garu I have met so far have been bad, they have merely confused me somewhat.
My packmates sometimes treat me like I am a homid child.
But you are fully grown, not cub.
I know. I think it is because they see the fact that I don't understand something as very cub-like, at least for their kind, and they treat me as such. I often have to remind them that I am a mother.
You have cubs?
Yes, 11 still living.
That is most impressive.
Many of them were born as kin. They never went through their change. But a few did, and most of them still live.
And by Gaia's grace, hopefully they will live for many years and fight for her.
I hope so.
I think sometimes the homids think they are clever simply because they make things more complicated than they need to. Making things complicated does not make things cleverer or better than the lupus. Often, sometimes they think they know so much, but yet they see so little.
Yes, this is true.
They forget to listen with their ears and smell with their nose. They think overmuch and rely too much on simply what they see and what they think, and not what their muscles and their ears and their nose and their fur is telling them.
I can hardly blame them for not listening to what their fur is telling them. They have so little of it.
That is true. That is true.
I must tell them something.
Indeed. The times when I have been on two legs, I can still feel the wind on my skin. I can feel the sun in its warmth.
You can still smell the scents carried on the wind.
Indeed. And their ears still function, despite the fact they make a Although perhaps they would hear more if they were not always creating such a racket.
Yes. The city is too loud. I miss living in the forest.
I have to admit, I have not ventured beyond the bounds of the Sept since my arrival, or I have only once on a mission, at which point my senses were. I had all my focus on making sure my senses stayed on what the mission was required and blocking out what remained of the noises and the chaos from around. I
If you
suppose.
get the
Sorry.
if you get the chance, you should go out with the cubs sometime.
Why the cubs specifically?
Because many of them were homid born, and they can help you navigate the city, and you can give them some time away from the set. It is an even trade.
I will consider this.
It is also a good opportunity to teach them to rely more on their senses.
Indeed. There is much they need to learn. I hear the few I met two yesterday. One was better on four legs than the other. They both still clearly had a lot to learn, but one was better than the other. But if I can teach them in some way, and if they suppose they would more have the time to show me the city, I would not wish to disrupt the time of those in Sept who may have positions and tasks of purpose to be carried out.
That is also good reasoning.
Do you often? I heard that you are often here in the Umbra, as opposed to the Sept on the Solarian side.
Ever since the ban on being uh, in our breed form in the Tellurian, yes. And more so even recently, as I have been hoping to learn the gift of spirit speech. But thus far, I have been unable to speak with them, and I may have to ask a Theurge to intervene on my behalf.
The gift of being able to speak to spirits is a truly useful and wondrous one. The Theurges normally are the best. Maybe one can help you learn.
I wish to help the Keeper maintain the scepter.
This is a noble and worthy task.
And I believe that being able to actually speak with the spirits would be a huge boon in helping the Keeper with the scepter.
I believe, yes, He would, I know not exactly the tasks that your keeper performs. However, I'm sure he would find any aid you could render him helpful. But seeking to speak with the spirits and commune with the spirits is always a noble pursuit for a Garu, regardless of what their particular auspice and role may be. I wish you luck and hope one day you hear their words and they answer you.
Thank you. I would love, especially, to speak with spirits that are fond of stories.
I'm sure there are many, many stories to learn from spirits. They have seen so much.
And I am certain that those spirits would take the stories of our sept and carry them with them.
Yes. Although they may not tell them and perceive them and remember them as we do, carrying them forward and carrying the memories and the lessons forward, this would be a noble purpose if it could be achieved. And in this place where so much happens, I'm sure it has much to teach both other places in the now and those who come after. I shall leave you now and hope that maybe the further time will help you complete your task. Maybe one day they will speak back to you.
I will join you in returning to the sept. I should speak with some of my packmates, make sure they are doing well.
If you wish to walk beside me, I will not object.
Thank you.
With that, Coles will make her way out of the meadow through the Umbra towards one of the warded areas of the sect, probably the North Woods, as that is where she seems to be at the moment, unless Kalyani wants to take a different direction.
Nope, Kailani will head off in the same direction toward the North Woods.
And when they are there, she will use that point to slip. We will probably see them that, assuming at some point when they reach there, they will slip back into the Tellurian and go about their business for the rest of the day. And I think we can leave it there. So thank you very much, players, for playing. And anyone who may decide to watch this at some point, enjoy watching it. Good night.